Greetings. I'm James Hinsey, the Masquerade Director, and this is the Arisia 2021 Virtual Masquerade. And I apologize for my pasty white face. It's closed up and inside for too long. And I wish I was here in this tropical paradise, but I'm stuck here with this virtual background. Thank you, Zoom. But anyway, here for the Masquerade, we have 12 entries this year and even a couple of novices and young fans. So, I think we're going to have a great show. I'd like to hear what you have thought of it afterwards. If you want to meet me up in the Discord or send an email and feedback at arisia.org. And I hope that we'll all see each other in person next year. Just a comment about the Masquerade for this year. I decided not to have any judging. And just to explain that, I think the venue, this format just doesn't really lend to having a proper workmanship or presentation judging. This isn't really a competition between costumers. It's more of a competition with themselves and how well they pull off a presentation, or if they're able to use their skills to make something that looks really great. And you can't do that with this kind of format. So we'll have awards and things next time. But for now, enjoy the Arisia 2021 Masquerade. I'm going to turn it over now to Antonia Pugliese, our Master of Ceremonies.
All right. Hi everyone, my name is Antonia Pugliese and I'm so excited to be helping out with emceeing for this digital masquerade for Arisia. Luckily, I don't need to yell at any of you about flash photography or hiding your cell phones, but I hope you will give your full attention to all the wonderful people who put so much effort into their costumes and were willing to share them under these difficult circumstances with us. Entry number 1 in the Young Fan Division, the Young Fan Knight.
All right, tell us about your costume.
Hi, so yeah, this is my costume.
Can I see the shield? Very nice.
I'm a knight prepared to decapitate, stab, or however ways I can maim or disarm you with a giant axe thing.
And how did you make it?
Duct tape, cardboard, some wood, and a piece of a blanket.
Cool. You want to tell us about the process?
A whole lot of cutting things and messing around with it and trying it on.
Fair enough. And why did you choose the dragon for your shield?
It looks impressive.
Okay. All right, is that enough?
Yes.
Okay.
That was the Young Fan Knight in the Young Fan Division, an original costume designed, made, and worn by Peter Burson, videography by Joshua Burson. Entry number 2 in the Master Craftsman Division, Master Weaver.
Hi Arisia fam, it's Redfield. This year's Masquerade, I'm submitting this other book cosplay. So last year, I brought the Aes Sedai, and this year I have this one. This is a Weaver from the Harper Hall trilogy by Anne McCaffrey. I was very excited about it. I had to do a lot of obscure book references. There was a book that came out a few decades ago, about the people of Pern and what they looked like and what they wore. So I had to look at that book and some other references in books about Pern and the people there. And I did do one thing that I've never done before, which is hand embroider these guys right here, because they are integral to the storyline. Here she is. Ready for a gather. You all stay safe, and I hope to see you next year. Bye.
That was Master Weaver in the Master Craftsman division, an original costume inspired by the Harper Hall trilogy by Anne McCaffrey, a Dragon Riders of Pern story, designed, made, and worn by Redfield, videography by Redfield. Entry number 3, in the Master Craftsman division, Avengers Civil War Ball Gown. That was Avengers Civil War Ball Gown in the Master Craftsman division, an original costume of a Civil War era ball gown featuring Marvel's Avengers, Captain America, and Iron Man. Designed, made, and worn by Laura Lara. Photography and videography by Charles Lara. Entry number 4 in the Novice division, Clever Max, Borderlands Mr. Clever.
This is Lee Roberts, pronouns are they, he, and I'd like to present my Clever Max cosplay for the virtual masquerade. So I started this cosplay in September 2019 so that I could debut it for that year's New York Comic Con. Borderlands is my absolute favorite video game, and I've always wanted to be a Borderlands cosplayer. But since I only cosplay as Mr. Clever from Doctor Who, challenge became how to turn Clever into a Borderlands character. I've never done any sort of self-shading or anything like that before, so this was kind of challenging. I started out with the smaller pieces first. Kind of figured if I messed up, that was a lot easier to replace. I started out with my boots first. I got a really good leather paint and just kind of worked my way up towards bigger pieces. I really wanted to incorporate some symbols from the episode, Nightmare on Silver. So I added a chessboard to the back of my coat. I even did a little tiny cybermite that's all cel shaded. I cel shaded my hand pulse, all of it. And it's Borderlands, so of course you need a weapon. So I took the gun that Clara uses in the episode and I kind of cel shaded that and turned it into a Borderlands gun. I thought the biggest challenge was going to be the actual face piece, but that was a little bit easier than I thought it was going to be. I still incorporated some LEDs and what have you. The actual biggest challenge was figuring out a way to cel shade my hair every time I wore the costume without an actual wig. So I think I may actually get a wig when cons come back because it's incredibly difficult to take out of your hair. But anyway, so here's my Clever Max cosplay. I hope you all enjoyed seeing it. I certainly enjoy wearing it. And I hope everyone has a happy new year, and I can't wait to see everyone in person again.
That was Clever Max, Borderlands Mr. Clever, in the Novice division, a recreation costume mashup based on Doctor Who and the Borderlands video game by Gearbox Software. Designed, made, and worn by Adventures of Clever. Photography by Adam Diamond Photography and by CJ and Mr. Clever. Entry number 5 in the Journeyman division, Best Inspiration Comes on a Whim. That was Best Inspiration Comes on a Whim in the Journeyman Division, an original costume designed, made, and worn by Justin Kelly. Photography by Judy Kelly. Entry number 6 in the Journeyman Division, Welcome to Deadwood, We Speak French. That was Welcome to Deadwood, We Speak French in the Journeyman Division, a recreation costume based on the HBO series Deadwood. Deadwood costumes designed by Janie Bryant, made and worn by Kat and Katie Chez Ami Cosplay. Photography by Christine Evans. Entry number 7 in the Master Craftsman Division, Articuno from Pokemon.
Hi there, I'm Mink the Satyr Cosplay, and this is my Articuno cosplay from the series, movie, video games, etc. Pokemon. This costume really is a labor of love. It combines some of my favorite elements of costuming. I got to do a lot of patterning on my own. I got to do a lot of foam smithing, which is always fun and exciting, and I got to try out a couple of new techniques that I had never done before. Something that I've been really passionate about is I've been working really hard to make all 151 Gen 1 Pokemon, which is really challenging. That's going to take me something like 15 years. I think I'm in year 3, so 13 more years. Not bad, right? I don't want to do the math about when I'm going to be done, but I'm going to do it. So this is an original design, and I've been agonizing over it for quite a number of weeks. It's been a real thrill and a real passion. If you'd like to follow more of my adventures, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter are my main 3. You can also catch me streaming at least once a week on Twitch. That's all under Mink the Satyr. And if you really like my work and you'd like to sponsor me, please feel free to follow me and be a patron on Patreon. Thanks a lot.
That was Articuno from Pokemon in the Master Craftsman Division, an original costume inspired by Pokemon, designed, made, and worn by Mink the Satyr Cosplay. Videography by Mink the Satyr Cosplay. Entry number 8 in the Journeyman Division, Victorian-style women's bathing suit.
For the Arisia 2021 Virtual Masquerade, I present my Victorian-style women's bathing suit. The outfit is based on a pattern from folkwear, adapted somewhat because I'm rather thicker in the middle than these vintage ladies are, but it's designed with so many pleats and poofs that I was able to expand it where needed and still mostly maintain the look. There are 2 parts to the outfit, a single-piece romper and a separate skirt. A historically accurate version would use buttons, but since I made this for steampunk events, I took a detour through an alternative timeline where the Victorians invented snap tape. I don't know that I'd try to seriously swim in this, but it was fun to wear for a day at the beach.
That was Victorian-style women's bathing suit in the Journeyman Division, a recreation historical costume based on folkwear pattern 253, designed by Folkwear, made and worn by Melissa Honig. Entry number 9 in the Novice Division, Lenore.
I'm Hannah, also known as Kirkette Cosplay, and this is Lenore from Castlevania. I started working on this cosplay in March, pretty much immediately after seeing season 3 of Castlevania, where Lenore is introduced. I knew I wanted to cosplay her the minute I saw her. I love that she is so pretty and innocent looking and super, super evil. She's definitely my favorite character in Castlevania. So I drafted the pattern for the dress from scratch, and I made the cape using a simplicity pattern, but I modified the shape of the capelet and the collar, which originally I think was for Doctor Strange, so it was much bigger. Some of the pieces on the costume were commissioned from Etsy sellers, including the wig, which came from a seller named the Royal Costumery on Etsy, and the gray detail pieces that you see on the belt and the necklace and the hair clip came from a 3D printing file made by an Etsy seller named Squall Disaster. They both did amazing jobs. I think my favorite part of this cosplay is the veil. It was very simple to make. I think I did it in a couple hours, but it's so romantic and it feels very dramatic to wear, and I just really love it. I'm also quite proud of the inset details on the sleeves. It took me, I think, 2 or 3 tries on the sleeves to get it just right. And I really like the way they came out. I sort of like how when my arm is straight, the inset pieces are kind of hidden, and then when my arm bends, you see them sort of poke out a little bit. You don't usually see the shoes under the dress, but I did my best to make them as accurate as possible. And that's Lenore. Thanks so much, you guys, and have a great Arisia. That was Lenore in the Novice Division, a recreation costume based on the Netflix original anime series Castlevania, which is based on Konami's video game series. Designed, made, and worn by Hannah Prum. Videography by Hannah Prum. Entry number 10 in the Journeyman Division, Kratos, God of War.
So I made the Leviathan axe with foam, Eva foam. I took a PVC pipe and heated it to make that bend. Also, to give it the lighting effect inside of the axe head, I took LED lights and glued them onto a thin piece of packing tape in the shape of the axe and put the axe design around the lights. I used a wood burning set to create the design and cut in far enough to hit the layer with packing tape for the axe head engraving. I also used the wood burning set to engrave the foam handle and the designs, and used a cell phone backup battery for the power for the LEDs. And I left it open so you can recharge the battery and you can just unplug and plug in for the power.
That was Kratos, God of War, in the Journeyman Division, a recreation costume based on the Santa Monica Studios video game God of War for the Sony PlayStation. Kratos, created by David Jaffe and designed by Charlie Wen. The costume, designed, made, and worn by Justin Blood. Photography by Dwight Wan Allen. Photography and videography by Courtney Tilly Green. Entry number 11. In the Novice Division, Dazzler. That was Dazzler in the Novice Division, a recreation costume based on Marvel Comics superhero Dazzler, designed, made, and worn by Marcos Chavez III. Entry number 12 in the Master Craftsman Division, Dolores and Bernard.
Austin, can you see this picture?
It doesn't look like anything to me.
I'm Jaxa Del Ventura, and I'm joined by my former roommate and forever friend, Austin Ricketts.
Hello.
In 2017, every Sunday we would watch Westworld Season 1 on HBO. We loved it, and after some time, I proposed to Austin that we should cosplay as Dolores and Bernard. He surprisingly agreed. As a student of Master Nightwing Whitehead, who I met at Arisia 2012, I drafted the pattern myself and found fabric and finishings as close as I could to the original. My wig was purchased from Arta Wigs and styled by my hairstylist at the time. I originally wore the costume for Halloween as I continued to finish it for Rhode Island Comic Con 2017. I loved making this costume as it was a great test of everything I had learned from 5 years of sewing boot camp.
While my costume was easier, it did require me to grow out my hair and my beard and to buy some fake glasses, which I still use from time to time. I did buy a new suit, but typically I had worn costumes for Halloween, but this was my first time doing a cosplay and my first cosplay at Comic-Con, which was pretty fun.
We searched the dealer's room for a Delos badge for Austin and scheduled a photo session with Kevin Brophy. He is the photographer of the nice pictures that I'm showing you right now. Often people would recognize my costume, not noticing Austin as Bernard, until I would ask them if they wanted him in the picture. That's when they would really fan and geek out, and we had a lot of fun with it. It was a great time.
I look forward to attending Arisia in person the next time that we're able to have it in person.
These violent delights have violent ends.
That was Dolores and Bernard in the Master Craftsman Division, a recreation costume based on the HBO series Westworld Season 1, an adaptation based on Michael Crichton's film Westworld. Designed, made, and worn by Jaxa Del Ventura and Austin Ricketts. Videography by Jaxa Del Ventura. Photography by Kevin Brophy.
Hey, thank you very much, Antonia, for being our MC this year.
Thank you.
So hopefully we'll again, by 2022, we'll have an in-person masquerade and things will be hopefully back to a new normal. Let's call it a new normal. And thank you so much for helping out today.
It's been great to chat with you, but I do miss the energy of an entire auditorium filled with lovely people. So I hope we both get to enjoy that next year again.
Great. All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again. And we'll thank you to all the participants and all the people who helped support them and everyone who helped support Arisia and the masquerade. And we'll see you next year. Definitely.
We can do a remote round of applause. I'm sure they'll know in their hearts it was for them.
Yes. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.